It seems like home ownership isn't that important to you. Do you think it's a pretty important when it comes to building generational wealth?
Well, I think that property is inherently theft in a lot of ways.
Okay.
I think dissolution of the American government and in turn it's classless society globally.
How can we achieve that? When you hear the term American dream, what does that mean to you?
Honestly, I don't know anymore. I'm gonna be honest, I hear American dream, I think mental illness.
So today we are heading to Willamette University. It is actually, just learned this today, the oldest college on the West Coast. And a couple weeks back, we interviewed some guys in front of Home Depot, asked them questions about the housing market, local economy, the government. So today we kind of want to flip the script and get perspectives from a much younger group of people. So it should be fun. As we head onto the campus, I'm curious to see how important, if at all, home ownership is to this generation. What challenges do they face? How would they approach some of the issues local and state governments are tackling? Do they still think owning a home is a major part of the American dream? And with everything going on in the country, what does the term American dream even mean to them? So what is your major?
So I graduated my undergraduate as a philosophy major, and I'm currently a 1L at the Willamette College of Law.
I'm a first year, so I'm undeclared, but I'm hoping to major in art and psychology.
I am a business major.
Okay.
Biology?
Biology?
Undecided.
Okay.
Archaeology.
Ooh, very cool.
I am undeclared, but I'm gonna probably do a business major.
Okay.
Planning to major in rental science and econ.
That's awesome.
I'm a psych major.
Okay. What are you hoping to do once you graduate?
I'm hoping to go into like sports psychology and work with athletes through like mental blocks and things like that.
Oh, that's super cool.
Something in like marketing, finance, just broad. Right now, I'm not 100% sure, but something along those lines.
Don't become a real estate agent. That's okay.
Something in sustainability. I just like a goal in my life is I want to add more than I take away.
Dude, that's awesome. I love that.
I'm hoping to go to grad school so I can become a museum curator.
What field do you feel like you're
Math.
getting into? Math? Are you hoping to be a teacher, or what are you trying to do with that?
Either go into some sort of financial area or be a teacher. I haven't decided.
Okay,
but
cool.
I'm hoping pediatric art therapy.
That's awesome.
No clue?
Yeah, no clue. Hey, that's fine. That's where you're in college, right?
Like most people who go to law school, hopefully be a lawyer. Realistically, I just want to help people though. So, I mean, if I get stuck doing something smaller, as long as helping people, I'm going to be happy.
I'm not totally sure right now, but I'm on the golf team here at Willamette, and
Nice.
so doing something related to that and just kind of building my network out while I'm here, that's what's valuable to
That's
me.
awesome. What is your handicap?
I am a +3 handicap, so better than scratch.
Good for you. That's awesome. How important is homeownership to you in the next 5+ years?
It's definitely pretty important to me, like
Yeah.
buying a home or an apartment, like when I'm out of school.
0.
Yeah. Why is that 0 to you?
As long as I got somewhere to live, I guess.
Okay.
I think it's pretty important. I think having a home sets you up a lot in life, and
Yeah.
obviously I know homeownership is getting harder and harder just like around the world.
I haven't really thought of it too much right now, but I feel like it'd be pretty important in the next 5 years. I want to eventually get a house, be stable, get a well-paid job. So.
Yeah.
It's probably not realistic for me in the next 5 to 7 years, but maybe like in the future, like
Yeah.
a 7. I guess I don't really want to rent. I don't want to deal with a landlord. I like being able to renovate, do what I want,
Yeah.
but I'm probably going to be pretty lucky and get my parents' house.
Yeah.
So,
That's a pretty awesome opportunity.
yeah.
To me, I'd say maybe like a 4, just because I am very introverted and I need that space.
I mean, that's a complicated question. I don't know if I can give a solid scale answer.
Yeah.
It's important to me to have a home eventually. If I were to say in the next 5 years, I mean, I know the housing market. I expect to be renting for probably about a decade is
Yeah.
my expectation, maybe more.
Why do you think you'd be renting for that long before home ownership becomes an opportunity for you or a possibility for you?
Just money, right?
Yeah.
Like most college students, I'm very poor. I'm going on here, it's in a combination of my parents' meager money and what little financial aid I can get.
Yeah.
And the money that I can get, towards a house is probably going to be secondary to the money towards, car insurance, regular insurance, food. It's just a house is secondary,
Yeah.
but a living space is primary.
Okay.
I would say it's pretty important. I know that the housing market's kind of collapsing at the moment, but like, when you're young, you have like this idea of like owning a home and starting a family and doing all those things. So I think that's like kind of central to like who I am.
Yeah. So you would place a pretty high importance on it down the
Yeah.
line. Okay.
7.
Yeah.
Pretty important to me.
So it sounds like you place pretty high importance on it. Do you feel like it's pretty important to building generational wealth, or why do you feel like it's so important to you?
I do think it's important to building generational wealth. I think not having a home leads to people spending more money overall because they can't like put down the down payment or anything. They end up spending more on rent, and it just overall compiles and makes it harder for people to build wealth and everything. And especially with like how the housing market is right now, everything's going up a lot, and it's difficult for a lot of people to be buying homes at all, even the lower cost ones.
Yeah.
Well, I think that property is inherently theft in a lot of ways.
Okay.
I think that on a generational scale, that ideally property as a concept would be abolished
Okay.
rather than trying to accrue that wealth for some future kids to just hoard.
Okay. What changes in the near future would you like to see be made?
I think a dissolution of the American government and a turn it to classless society globally.
How can we achieve that?
Contentious question. Too much to get into.
Generational wealth, I mean, absolutely. I don't know if I'd say the concept is important inherently, but I'd say it's probably one of the largest factors for generational wealth, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
I do. I for sure do. And I think that's a thing my family has really focused on for me and kind of instilled that value in me.
I think in terms of generational wealth, it is extremely important because of the whole issue of rent and of that. I'm not really very educated on this, but
Yeah, no, that's
I would
pretty
say scale of 1 to 10, it's like at least an 8.
Okay, cool. So you would say that homeownership is pretty important when it comes to generational wealth?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the biggest issues for young people or somebody buying their first home?
Oh, what I see a lot is there's a lot of like monopolizing like renting, and so it's just harder to get housing, and like where I come from, it's super expensive, and there's no way I'm gonna be able to go home and live there again.
I would say just starting out getting enough money for the down payment or trying to save up while rent and everything is so high, it's difficult to start saving that much money.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just a day before these interviews, I attended a housing conference where they highlighted the disparities in homeownership across different groups. I wanted to hear the students' thoughts on these challenges and the policies being proposed to bridge these gaps. So according to the Unlocking Homeownership Coalition, there's a 15% gap between white and BIPOC individuals when it comes to homeownership. Do you think that these might just be cultural differences in terms of like perception between the relevance of homeownership, or do you think this is more of a systemic problem?
I think it's a combination of issues. As far as systemic issues go, absolutely. Like the disparity between minority and whatever the opposite is, majority groups is 100% going to be systemic. It's going to be, the hundreds of years of slavery oppression this country has had. As far as just a cultural difference, I do think there is some extent, especially Latino families are going to be they have multi-generational families. A lot of the time a grandparent will live with the grandkids in the same house with the parents and such. Do I think it's inherently good that there is some generational difference between homeownership? No. I honestly think the Latino way of doing it is really smart. It's more cost effective. There's a lot more connection between the generations of the family. I didn't really talk to my grandparents until they died. I would have loved to have that connection.
Such an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
It seems a little more systemic to me, but I don't really have enough information to speak super clearly on it.
Definitely systemic. That, again, like you were saying, is generational wealth that carries over, and systemic racism is amplified by the forces of capitalism. And again, in a lot of ways that it's hard to condense into a 15-second answer.
I think it's absolutely systemic. Generational wealth thing, it's also caused, it goes both ways, I think.
Right.
So it's definitely systemic.
Okay.
I definitely do think it's a systemic problem, especially with the wealth inequalities that come with being born a BIPOC person.
It's systemic because there's redlining and stuff like that, which obviously set a lot of BIPOC people behind, and it's hard when other white people already have that. It's already set behind, but time has passed, and I don't know the stats, but I'm assuming the gap is closing, or more BIPOC people are getting closer to that, but there still is set behind.
Would you be surprised to hear that BIPOC homeownership is actually larger in terms of gap compared to white individuals from decades back?
I was not surprised because I did hope there'd be growth, but yeah. Okay.
I think it's a systemic issue that has branched into culture. And so I think it would be a little bit of both, but I think the cause of it is the systemic root of just, racism and discrimination against people of color.
How has it become a cultural issue after a systemic one?
I think the ways in which the job market exists and the economic market exists for people of color has branched into culture of like a get by kind of mentality.
Sure.
And getting by in this country doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a homeowner and succeed for your family. But at the same time, there's the job disparity and there's other influences outside of just like economics that impact whether or not these people will get home.
Do you support programs that would help BIPOC families and individuals get funds for a down payment to buy a home? Or do you think there's another way to kind of achieve the same goal, which is more home ownership for more individuals?
I mean, I think that's a very admirable goal. I think that that's a really good step in the right direction. Ostensibly, disparity is for disparity of history, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very good step in the right direction. I don't know if it's what I would say my final answer would be.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I have a final answer at this moment.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a complex situation.
Absolutely.
So, do you have some ideas on what could help in terms of affordability? Sounds like you're at least looking at the issue. You have some thoughts.
So I mean, I'm a college liberal, right?
Yeah.
So I have all the standard. We need to look at how to equitize everything. But ultimately, there is a certain point to which, all else equal, it is more important to house those that are not housed, and those happen to be more BIPOC and minority people.
Yeah.
Now, do I think that a white family who has, $30K in debt towards a house versus a BIPOC family that's maybe net zero, do I think that they deserve less than the BIPOC family? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think that it's important to help both sides of it equally, but I also think that if it's all else equal, your BIPOC community is going to be a little more important.
I think that's such a great answer, because it's
unfortunate to say that they hold that more importance relatively, but it's a fact of life that more generational wealth is good for everyone.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that that's a pretty easy and simple solution, because it's not a terrible way to spend our taxes, and it really does help people who are in need.
That gap should be bridged.
Yeah.
That program's pretty dope.
To be honest, I haven't really thought a lot about it. I said, I'm not super political, so sorry, I don't really
worries.
know. I'm not I haven't taken too many politics classes, so I don't think I know enough to answer. So
I think that's fair.
I think it can more be for how much money you actually have.
Right.
If you're on the poverty line.
It's more socioeconomic than
Yeah, but there's obvious things that are needed, and it's impacted a lot of BIPOC people.
100%.
Yeah.
What does the American dream mean to you, and do you think home ownership has anything to do with that?
I think the American dream, what it means to me, is just being able to, just every person just being able to pursue their dreams and do what they love. Even obviously, this day and age, you kind of have to pick a job that makes you money, but I think it's pretty common that people don't really like their jobs these days, and they might work jobs just to make enough money to survive. And so my dream is to do something that I love and make enough money to be happy and live freely.
And honestly, I don't know anymore. I'm gonna be honest, I hear American dream, I think mental illness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about a bunch of people that are living this perfect life, but they're not happy.
Yeah. Is it possible that the American dream exists in different contexts for different people?
Absolutely. I think everyone has a different goal in mind, because everyone has a different perspective. So of course they're gonna have a different dream at the end of the day.
Do you still believe in the American dream?
I don't know. I feel like I'm not old enough to know if I believe in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess being independent of other people, just kind of being able to support yourself.
Do you feel homeownership is a big part of that for the average person, or do you feel like maybe that's a smaller part?
I think for a lot of people, it's a big part of it.
Emma says being free, but just doing what you want to be able to do, being free, and then having a choice to make a living however way you want to, and being successful and comfortable in how you live.
The American dream is so amorphous.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if there is an American dream or ever was. I think that there's an idea we have that everyone has when they look at America and they say, everyone here has their fancy cars, they have their big rich penthouses and shit. That's not America though.
I think the initial American dream is not a dream designed for anyone except the traditional white family.
Okay.
But to me, I feel like that dream would be living in a world that looked beyond differences as something for separation, but as uniqueness, and allowed people of all backgrounds, races, religions, gender, sexuality to exist together and succeed and encourage everyone else's success.
Do you think it's attainable?
I think it's a dream for a reason. I don't think there'll ever be the absence of discrimination, just because as humans, it's natural to want to have a leg up over another person. And the way that we've designed society is to create separation. But I'm hopeful for a difference.
Yeah, and I think that's important, right? Because when we have hope, we're working towards something.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for your answers. That was really cool.
Of course.
I left Willamette University today impressed by the thoughtful and nuanced perspectives I heard. While the overall tone leaned left, as you might expect on a college campus in 2024, what stood out was the individuality and the depth of thought in each conversation. These students aren't just following trends. They're carving out their own views and preparing for a workforce that looks vastly different from their parents. It made me wonder, how different are they really from the generations that came before them?